You lied today. You probably lied before you even finished your morning coffee. Maybe it was small. Maybe you told someone you were fine when you weren't. Or that you were almost there when you hadn't even left the house yet. Or that you loved a gift you immediately wanted to throw in the trash. And here's the thing, you didn't even think about it. The lie just came out. Smooth, automatic, practiced. We tell ourselves we're honest people, that we only bend the truth when we absolutely have to. But science has been watching, and science disagrees. Studies show the average person lies between 1 and 2 times every single day. Some research puts it much higher. One study from the University of Massachusetts found that 60% of people lie at least once during a 10-minute conversation. 60% in 10 minutes. And here's the part that should really make you uncomfortable. Most of those lies happen before your conscious brain even gets involved. Your brain lied, you just delivered the line. And there's a very specific reason for that, a reason that goes back further than you might think. Before we get into why, we need to understand what lying actually is, because most people have it wrong. A lie is not just saying something false. A parrot can say something false. That doesn't make it a liar. A lie is saying something false while knowing it's false, and saying it anyway to make someone believe something that isn't true. That sounds simple. But think about what it actually requires. You have to hold the truth in your head. You have to simultaneously construct a different version of reality. You have to deliver that version convincingly while tracking whether the other person believes you. And you have to do all of that fast enough that nobody notices the pause. That is not a simple thing. That is some of the most sophisticated cognitive work a brain can perform. Neuroscientists have looked at what happens in the brain during lying using fMRI scanners. When people tell the truth, a small, predictable set of brain regions activates. When people lie, far more of the brain lights up. The prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the limbic system. Lying is cognitively expensive. It costs more brain power than telling the truth, and yet your brain does it automatically. That tells you something. The brain only automates things it has been doing for a very, very long time. So how long have humans been lying? The honest answer is probably as long as humans have existed. And the reason is survival. Imagine you are living 100,000 years ago. Your group is small, maybe 30 people. Food is scarce. A larger, stronger member of the group finds the same animal you've been tracking for 2 days. He didn't do the work, but he's bigger than you, and he wants it. The honest response gets you hurt. Or worse, the lie. I already ate. There's nothing left over there. I saw it run north. That lie might be the thing that keeps you alive long enough to have children. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the people who could construct a convincing lie in a dangerous moment survived more often than the ones who couldn't. They had more children. Those children inherited the same neural wiring. That wiring got sharper, faster, more automatic, until eventually a species existed that could lie without even thinking about it. That species is you. Lying is not a moral failing that evolution accidentally included. It is a feature, built in deliberately over an enormous span of time, because in the environments your ancestors lived in, it kept them alive. Now here's where it gets more interesting. Because not all lies are created equal. Researchers who study deception have identified several distinct types of lying, and each one serves a completely different function. The first is what's called protective lying. This is the oldest kind, lying to avoid punishment, danger, or social conflict. Your nervous system, the ancient part of it, treats social rejection the same way it treats physical pain. Brain imaging studies have shown this directly. The same regions that activate when you stub your toe activate when you're excluded or humiliated. So when your brain lies to protect you from social consequences, it is not being dishonest. It is running a pain avoidance program that has been operating in humans since before we had language. The second type is pro-social lying. These are lies that protect other people's feelings rather than your own. Does this haircut look good? Is my cooking okay? Did that presentation go well? If you've answered yes to any of those when you weren't sure, you've told a pro-social lie. And here's something surprising. Research shows these lies actually strengthen social bonds. A 2012 study found that people who tell more pro-social lies are rated as more likable, more trustworthy, and better at maintaining long-term relationships than people who default to brutal honesty. A world with zero pro-social lying would not be a world of refreshing honesty. It would be a world where nobody wanted to be around you. Humans did not evolve for that level of raw truth. We evolved to live in groups, and groups require a certain amount of comfortable fiction to function. The third type is the most fascinating of all. Self-deception. Lying to yourself. This one is so automatic and so constant that most people never recognize it as lying at all. Think about the things you tell yourself. I work well under pressure. Usually means I procrastinate badly and somehow pull it together at the last second. I'm not a jealous person. Usually means I am extremely jealous, but I've decided not to acknowledge it. I could have been a professional athlete if I had taken it more seriously. Usually means I was not going to be a professional athlete. These are lies, but your brain tells them for a reason. Psychologist Shelley Taylor at UCLA spent decades studying what she called positive illusions. Her research found that people with slightly inflated views of themselves, people who overestimate their abilities, their control over events, and their future prospects, are consistently more motivated, more persistent, and more successful than people with perfectly accurate self-assessments. Let that settle for a second. The most psychologically accurate people are often the least effective. There's even a name for this: depressive realism. It turns out that people experiencing mild depression have some of the most accurate assessments of reality, and they struggle to get out of bed. Overconfidence is not a bug in human psychology. It is a feature. Your brain lies to you about yourself because a version of you that believes it can do things is more likely to actually do them. Now here is something that changes the picture entirely. Humans are not even close to the only animals that lie. Chimpanzees have been extensively documented deceiving other members of their group. In a classic series of experiments, a chimpanzee that knew where food was hidden would actively mislead dominant individuals, walking away from the food's location, waiting until the dominant chimp lost interest, and then circling back to eat alone. That is not instinct. Instinct doesn't route around a specific individual's attention. That requires the animal to model what another creature knows, track what they believe, and construct a specific action designed to manipulate that belief. Crows are even more sophisticated. Crows cache food, hiding it in locations they plan to return to later. If they know another crow is watching, they have been documented performing elaborate fake caching behaviors, appearing to bury food in one location while actually concealing it somewhere else entirely. They do this specifically because they know the watching crow would steal from them if it knew the real location. To fake a hiding location, a crow must understand that the watching crow has beliefs, that those beliefs can be wrong, and that it can deliberately cause them to be wrong. Scientists call this theory of mind, the ability to model the mental states of others. For a long time, humans were thought to be the only species with this ability. We now know that's not true. But what makes humans unique is not that we can lie. It's that we've built entire social systems, economies, legal codes, and cultures around managing the fact that we lie constantly and we all know it. Which brings us to the question that's probably bothering you. If lying is this ancient, this natural, this biologically useful, why does it feel bad? Why do most people, after telling even a small lie, feel a little bit of something? A twinge, a discomfort, an itch they want to scratch? Because you didn't just evolve to lie, you evolved to live in a group. And groups run on trust. Think about what trust actually does inside a social group. It allows cooperation, it allows resource sharing, it allows division of labor, it allows you to leave your children with someone while you hunt, trusting they'll still be alive when you return. A group where trust has collapsed is not a group anymore. It's a collection of individuals who are worse off than they were alone. The people who felt nothing after lying, who could deceive their own group members without any internal cost, those people damaged the cooperative systems that kept everyone alive. Groups that contained too many of them failed. The people who felt something, who had a conscience, who were punished internally for betraying others' trust, those people maintained the social fabric that allowed the group to survive. Their genes, including whatever neural wiring creates guilt, got passed forward. So here's what you are, biologically speaking. You are an animal that evolved to lie and also evolved to feel bad about it. Both things at once. Permanent tension, managed conflict between two survival strategies that you need simultaneously. The lie that protects you in one moment. The conscience that keeps you trustworthy enough to stay in the group long term. You're not a bad person who sometimes overcomes their dishonest instincts. And you're not a good person who occasionally slips. You're exactly the product of what survived. A creature holding both things at once, forever negotiating between them. Here's what all of this means for the lies you told today. Every time you told someone you were fine when you weren't, your brain was running a 100,000-year-old social protection program. Every time you said you loved something you didn't, your brain was preserving a relationship that evolution tells it matters. Every time you told yourself you'd get to it tomorrow, your brain was keeping you motivated enough to actually get to it eventually. These are not character flaws. They are ancient systems built over an enormous span of time, optimized for a world that no longer exists but running inside you anyway. You didn't choose this. You inherited it from every ancestor who was clever enough, or careful enough, or socially skilled enough to survive long enough to have children. The ones who couldn't navigate this balance didn't leave descendants. You are here because they could. Basically, you're human. And humans, it turns out, are basically liars. That's all for today. If this made you look at yourself a little differently, subscribe. New video every week.